Welcome to the Esthetician Coach podcast, where passion meets strategy. I'm your host and esthetician coach, Amber Boone, and each week we're talking strategies, solutions, and mindset to build and attract your best life and career yet. Niki Green is joining us today from the Skin Lab. Niki, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, of course. It's great to be here with you.
So let's dive in. Let's talk about how long you've been an esthetician and how long have you owned your own practice?
So I've been in aesthetics for 12 plus years, and then I've owned the Skin Lab here for actually 5 years. We've just celebrated 5 years here in October.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So many estheticians dream of owning their own space and their own place. What were the biggest unexpected hurdles that you faced when first opening your doors, and how did you overcome those?
You know, you're right about this. A lot of people do have a dream to open their own space. I will tell you, for me, it really wasn't even on my radar. This one just kind of came what felt like out of nowhere. I really just wanted to do aesthetics and be aesthetics. And I did that for a great number of years. I did have a little push that kind of sent me on my way to opening my own space, but it was very unexpected. And I just kind of decided right then and there, if I was going to do it, I was going to do it all the way. So yeah, hurdles, of course, they come along with big ventures like opening your own business. I would say for us, the traditional hurdles, which would be when you open your doors, are you going to have patients, that flock to you? Are you going to be sitting twiddling your thumbs for a while? I was very blessed by way of not having to deal with that hurdle in particular. I actually had solidified myself within my industry for a good number of years before I opened my own practice. And I had been practicing in a spa setting for about 4.5 years before I opened my own practice. So for me, my patients were, you just tell me where the new location is. Tell me where the new door is. That's the door I'm walking in for my next appointment. So I was really booked and busy from day one, but not because of luck, but because of hard work, I would say.
Yeah, so you established yourself in the industry before you even opened your own space.
Yes, and I would say that's a key point. There are so many really young and smart and vivacious women that are coming out of aesthetic school, and I think that they are really having that kind of fever dream, if you will. I'm going to get out there and open my door and do my own thing. And I do think there is a way for that for near everybody, but I don't think that it comes the day that you graduate. I suppose it could happen, that kind of 1 in a million, but you really do want to establish yourself within your industry and really gain that experience, both in aesthetics, but also for the public, for the customer base. There really is this dance or this marrying of the two. And once you get it, then you're in pretty good shape. But you really do want to solidify yourself and get yourself some strong footing or some strong pillars to do that.
Because it's really tough to start your own business, especially right out of school with no experience working for somebody else.
I would agree. Yes.
So for someone who's listening, thinking they might open their own practice one day, what are 3 non-negotiables that they should lock in before they actually open?
I would tell you for me personally, top priority is always going to be a positive mindset. I will tell you, your mind dictates what your body does, and it's just lock and step after the fact. So keeping a positive mentality about things really is always going to be key. Outside of that, I will tell you, you really do want to learn how to delegate, right? So know what you're good at, know where your passions lie, and then know what you don't know. So for me, I know skin, I know people, I know professionalism, but I don't know like CPA stuff. So what do? I delegate for a really great CPA. And that really kind of goes across the bill. If you are not great at curating content, make sure that you delve into or delegate to somebody who curates in content. If you're not good with marketing, same thing. Really just make sure that you know what you know, and that if you know you don't know something well, make sure you find somebody that does. Yeah, it's a great support system is really what it comes down to.
How important, going back to content, how important has content been for your business? Are you posting on social media, or do you have somebody that does that for you?
Yeah, great question. So I would say 100% social media and advertisement, by way is going to be a huge part of aesthetics these days. That is not the case for a million years ago. I've been in the game for a really long time, and it was not that way in the beginning. To be honest with you, people didn't even know what the word aesthetics meant. My own brother, who is very smart and very, intriguing, messaged me, very soon after graduating from aesthetic school and said, "Congratulations on your aesthetics degree. I thought that you didn't like dead people." And I was like, that is not aesthetics. That is something else altogether. So people really just didn't know what that word meant. And now it's very, very heavily saturated, the industry, because there's so many facets and so many niches of aesthetics. So with that being said, yes, social media plays a significant role. And it's not because of the world we live in. It's because you have to extend your reach. I call it the bubble. Your first bubble is going to be your friends, your family, and your acquaintances. You have to get past or burst that first bubble by way of referral. So you see your friend, you see your family, you see your acquaintance, but then each of those demographics have to love what you've done so much that they tell someone else, or what you've done has to be so significant that they don't even have to mention it. Somebody outside of that bubble says, "Hey, you look great. What are you doing? Who are you seeing?" So you burst through that first bubble and then you move into that next bubble, so on and so forth. And you're really only able to do that with great stride if you are posting content. So, the social media platforms, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, advertisement, billboard, kiosk, and all the things in between. So for me personally, I'm a little bit of a control freak. So I really, and not in a bad way, right? Like not with a negative connotation, but more by way of, I know what I'm looking for and I want to take what's in my mind and I want it to come to fruition. And the way I'm able to do that is if I just curate it myself. So for me, for the last 12 plus years, I've created my own content. With that being said, the busier one gets, the more they have to delegate. There likely will be a time in life that I'm going to have to say to somebody, "Take this from me and run with it, but here's my ideas on it." But yeah, content, super, super important.
At least you've laid the foundation for when that time comes.
Yes, I
So
would agree.
that's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about your internship program. So I was excited to hear about this. How did the idea for it come about, and what gap in the industry does it fill?
Great questions. So our internship program was born in September of 2022. It is a huge step for aesthetics. There really just is not that mentorship that you would hope for or that you would want for. I know for me coming up in aesthetics, like I said, some people didn't even know what that word was, much less knew how to help to navigate you. So you think about aesthetics, essentially you are helping others daily feel more confident, be more confident, whether it be outwardly in their skin, their brows, their lashes, their makeup, whatever they are choosing to move into. But it's not just that surface level or topical, if you will. It really is diving a little deeper into helping them to push their shoulders up and back and hold their head up high as they move about the world. And so when you're doing that for somebody, you are making them feel so good about themselves. So it's something that when you have it, it's very tangible and everybody wants to grasp onto that. And so with that being said, we are a very female-based, group of individuals that are within aesthetics. That's not to say there are not some males that are really lovely out there, but as a general rule of thumb, it really is female-dominated. And females are traditionally nurturers, right? So it makes perfect sense that we would fall into aesthetics as females. With that being said, females also, unfortunately, really do have that kind of generic connotation of kind of being catty, especially when they see something they love and they want it for themselves. So they see a really great esthetician, they want to be a really great esthetician. And instead of coming together and saying, "I think I have some great knowledge and I think you have some great knowledge and let's come together and figure out how we can both help each other. I bet you we kind of love each other since we have some things in common." Unfortunately, what happens is in aesthetics, really often that people become kind of, turned, cold shoulder to one another. Like, "I don't want you to have what I have, only that's for me." And that's really not a great mentality to have at all. So mentorship can be tricky because you have to search out or seek out someone who's willing to help you. And that's not always the case, right? They don't want to give away the goods. So for me, I really wanted to be that soft space to land for that upcoming esthetician or that registered nurse that's looking to navigate into nursing aesthetics and what have you. So for us, we really are all about mentorship. We're all about furthered education. We're all about having a soft place to land for someone within our niche or our industry of aesthetics. And we're really loving the graduates that we're putting out in this program. And we're loving helping to create that new crop of estheticians that have that really positive mindset about it so that they're getting into the industry, not having to break bad habits, but instead starting it off with the right foot forward.
I love that. And you're right. It is so needed in this industry because I don't know really of any other program, at least around here, that exists.
Yeah.
Like
So we
that.
were the very first within our community. And you know what they say, when someone replicates what you do or when they kind of step into your shoes and they try out your blueprint, it really is just a nod to how lovely your idea was. And we are of that mindset. We know that we are one of a kind and it's okay that other people do something similar. In fact, if they're incorporating positivity and furthered education, we're all for it because we're all about that in our industry for sure.
Yeah, I agree. There needs to be more programs like that. So can you break down how your program works, the duration, what interns
Yes.
actually do, all of that for us?
Absolutely. So our program has a 2-month span. And in that 2-month span, it is 1 day per week with a 4-hour block. So we do take into account that our estheticians in learning and estheticians that are already licensed, they really do need some flexibility in the schedule. That sometimes they're working several days a week, or they're still educating several days a week, or life in general is happening throughout that week as well. So we do 4-hour blocks. That's going to be either the 9 to 12, the 1 to 4, or the 4 to 8. We're very selective in our internship program participant selections. They do go through a rigorous interview process. And essentially what we're looking for is the overachiever, the smarty pants, the kind, the warm, the personable. But in general, we're looking for that really perfect fit. And it's like when you know, somebody that just has that spark. I always say, and I say this kind of internally, like us estheticians, we're a dime a dozen, right? You can pull anybody off the street and be like, are you an esthetician? And probably they are these days. We're pretty saturated now. That everybody kind of understands how great it is to be an esthetician. But there really is something to be said for somebody who really checks all of those boxes. So those are the ones we're looking for. And it doesn't hurt if you have a big smile on your face, right? A smile goes a long way because we do deal with the public day in and day out. And let's face it, they're looking for positivity. There's a lot of negativity in the world these days. So positivity will take you a long way in this industry for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree because they come to you to feel good and uplifted. So
Yes.
I think that's very important. So the skills that you're teaching them, does that help them go out and find an aesthetics job?
It can in many cases. In fact, it's one of the largest concerns that's brought to us throughout our program and our learning opportunities. Estheticians will say to us often, I went to school, I was top of my class, I got my licensing, I'm licensed through the state, I'm ready to go. I'm interviewing left and right. And essentially, I'm seeing a lot of nods and a lot of smiles and a lot of close but no cookie. And what it comes down to is that people are looking for experience. They don't want to have to train somebody from the ground starting level. They don't want to have somebody that they have to coddle or hold their hand because they don't quite have the time for it. So they're typically looking for somebody experienced within their role. They're happy to teach you a few things, but they need you to kind of know the nuts and bolts of it on the front end. And let's face it, if you've just graduated from school and you're searching out a position of employment somewhere, you don't quite have that experience yet. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. How do I get the experience if you won't give me the job to then gain or earn the experience? So our program really stands as a stepping stone in this type of a scenario. We're able to help them to log interned hours and shadowing hours by way of experience. So they're not just learning from a book. They're not just learning from a webinar. They're actually getting the real-time experience and the hands-on experience, both in the treatment space scenario and also the rebooking, the checking out, the curating customized treatment plans for patients, and everything really in between. We do serve as a stepping stone in that way. And then certainly they're coming to us for the further education. They're getting those in-house certifications. They're going to really help them to take it to the next level. There are certain things in aesthetics and in medical aesthetics that just are not a part of the normal curriculum for licensing. For instance, lash extensions. This is a part of aesthetics, but not a part of your original learning. So you do have to step into a secondary form of furthered education for a multitude of certifications, and we happen to offer a very plethora of those.
Okay, good to know. And so I love the hands-on, and I think that's a great element to have. But do you have any online courses or trainings right now, or is that in the plans down the road?
So, as of current, we don't offer any online courses, and I'll tell you why. Because you can get on YouTube and you can just look through all the things in the world as they are now. We want to really be that step above. We want to be that superior option. And for us, that's always at this point going to mean hands on. Now, it could be in years to come that we really custom curate something that's feels very hands on, but you can take it home with you. That could be a scenario in the future, but for now, we're very hands on. And we love that. And it looks like our graduates have really loved that as well.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And like I said, I love the hands-on component because you don't see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the most rewarding outcome that you've seen from someone going through your internship program, maybe a before and after for an intern's career?
Well, I will tell you, we really hear positivity coming back from our program often. Typically, it starts throughout the program. We often get emails, text messages, and even phone calls that are saying something like, I just want to let you know I've learned more in yesterday's booking or training times together than I learned in all of my school time. Now, I don't know exactly how much weight is in that and how much that is fluff, but I think what people mean when they say that kind of thing is, yes, when you're learning theory at school, when you're seeing, clients on the floor, you are learning a great deal, but there's something to be said for seeing it what feels like in real time, not the type of establishment that you have a 9 o'clock booking and then you twiddle your thumbs until lunch and then you've got a 3:30. I mean, we are back to back booked. We do 12-hour shifts, much like a nurse would do, and we get our people in and we get them taken care of. Now, we give them all the time that needs to be allocated to feel very luxurious and very well taken after. But we really do run a tight ship. So graduates of ours or internship program participants of ours really get to see a myriad of what is on a catalog of services for a medical aesthetics spa. They're going to see brow work, followed by lash work, followed by skin work, facialing, dermaplane, accelerated skin work by way of chemical peel, microneedle, cool plasma, cellular renewal, exosome associations. And the list really does go on and on. So they're not going to be stuck with that monotony of facial times 2 facial times 3 facial like they would on the floor in a school setting. And they're also not going to be kind of reading very monotonously from, their book or listening to their webinar with their headphones on. They're in the thick of it when they are in their training time or in their shadowing time. So when they say things to us like, I've learned more today than I learned, for the last 6 weeks in my program at school, I really feel like they mean that. Now, by way of kind of the good stories or the positivity that comes along with it as well, I can tell you each of these girls are coming out of our program and they're able to utilize us as a reference point. So they can say, I was in an internship program with the Skin Lab. And because we really are synonymous with science-based initiatives and professionalism and just being top tier in our game, people really love that as the reference. So they get on the phone with me and say, hey, did you have, Sally in your program? Yes, I did. And she was a top learner for us. She took in her education like a sponge. Our patients loved having her in the space with us when she did her shadowing. If I had room for her on my team today, I would have snagged her up. You'd be silly not to hire her. So real positive feedback in that regard.
Okay, that's good. And how many interns do you have at a time?
Great question. Yeah, so we only have one at a time in that 4-hour block. We're really consistent with that because we don't want your time to be shared in such a way that you don't feel like you got what you bargained for. So now we could have 3 interns in the same day, right? The 9 to 12, the 1 to 4, and the 4 to 8. But they're never going to be overlapping. And the only time an overlap happens is when it's very purposeful. So our interns are able to take part in a multitude of in-house certifications, one-to-one theories, and then certainly shadowing time with a licensed esthetician. But there are scenarios where we will do what we call roll call, and we will send out a message to the entirety of all interns that are in program in real time and say, okay, roll call. Our aesthetics team at the Skin Lab is going to be taking part in a trainer that we're flying in from the Southeast this week, and they're going to be learning on TCA chemical peel solution components. Any of our interns that are in program as of current are welcome to join us. This is just extra and outside of the norm, but we want you to be a part of what that learning experience looks like. Now, I will say the caveat there is if they're not a licensed esthetician yet, they're not going to get the full certification from it, but they will still take in the knowledge and the education from it. If you have to be a licensed esthetician to then be certified in X, Y, and Z. But it's a great extra opportunity. So yes, sometimes we can have everybody in house and for great reason. Other times, if it's really just their training time or their shadowing time, it's just for them.
Yeah, that's amazing that they get that extra opportunity with you too, because
yes,
any education that you can, continuing education is always good, especially in our industry.
I would agree with you there. Further education is tip-top priority for us at the Skin Lab and for our team. And it's mainly because we want to always stay on the cusp of what is the technological advances within the aesthetic industry for us to be tip-top in our game, but also for our patient demographic. You know, they're not coming to us because they just want to hang out with us, even though we're kind of cool to hang out with, right? They're coming to us for our expertise. And how else can we do that unless we are staying further educated? So yes, agreed. Education is key.
Yes. And so it sounds like they really get a full experience, because I was going to ask you about, you know, the business and the sales and the consulting skills, but it sounds like they get all of that in your intern program.
They do. Yeah. It's got a myriad of options, and really they just move across the board fluidly. I really always this is layman's terms, I suppose, but I call it the dance. You know, you really do have to understand how to connect or marry your skill set at the bedside with your personality skills, right? With your people skills. And if you cannot connect the two, you're going to lose your connection with your audience, with your demographic. Some people are going to connect with you because you're significantly changing their skin with either progression or correction. Others are going to connect with you because you just meshed well. You know, your energies are really similar, your vibration was really similar, and your personalities are really similar. But you're going to find that more often than not, it really is a combination of the two. I'll give you a for instance. Let's just say that you came in for me as a first-time patient and I changed your skin significantly, even in just that first session. That absolutely happens often, and it's something that you found to be beneficial. But let's also say that at the same time, I was the biggest stick in the mud, and I was just the most sour, and I was on my phone on a personal text or phone call, you know, all throughout that session. And I left you in the private lobby for a few too many minutes before I came to get you. And then I left you in the treatment space while you were with your mask and light for far longer than the mask and the light needed for you. You're going to really feel as though I did not take good care of you. And it's very clear to you that you didn't mean as much to me as you thought or hoped that you would. Even if I changed your skin significantly, it's likely that you're not going to rebook with me because that connection was not made on both levels. And I will say on the same cusp, you can't fake it either. Like you can't just be like, I love you and you're great and, you know, whatever. It has to be so genuine. And it has to really be from you, from internal, from your heart. And if those things are not lining up well, you're going to find that people are not going to stay with you with longevity. At the Skin Lab, we have been seeing the same patients at this facility for 5 years, you know, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, however long that the patient started with us. And for me personally, being in this industry for 12 plus years, I have some of the very same patients that I had 10, 12 years ago. I call them my OGs, and they get whatever they want because they have followed me, you know, across the world, and they trust me with all things aesthetic. So it can be done. You just have to work at it. Yeah.
And that's awesome that you've had clients with you from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. That speaks volumes to your service and
thank you.
Your connections. What's your favorite, or what's one of your favorite services that you do the most of?
So if I had to talk about most popularly requested service, I would say it's likely going to be our cellular renewal series. For us, it's one of our newer ones, but it is one that people are coming out of the woodwork to take good usage of. It's got exosome and growth factor associations, and we do it by way of electric poration. So if you're not familiar, what this means is it's needle-free, it's pain-free, and it's maintenance-free. And I mean, that's a no-brainer. Everybody wants you to check that box for them. But it's not your fluffy facial. It's not the one you leave and you feel glowy, but you know, when's it time to do it again? This is really an in-depth service, much like how something with needle or with pain might have been in the past. But because of the technological advances within the industry, they've been able to figure out a way to do it that's pain-free. So electric poration is essentially a modality that's going to come in and really open the pathway or widen the pore system and the follicular housing in such a way that you can really penetrate much more deeply and much more efficiently without ever having to topically analgesize the skin or needle through the skin or microchannel the skin or something that might have otherwise had some pain associated with it. And so while those types of services are really popular for us, the ones that are pain-free are the most popular. So yeah, cellular renewal therapy is a really big winner across the board.
So can you do that year round?
You can. Yeah, you can. And it's because you don't compromise the skin adversely by way of opening the skin in a different type of way. Microneedling for us is something that we can do safely year round, but we do, for the most part, lean into fall and winter simply because of the dedicated downtime that can be associated for some demographics. But cellular renewal, on the other hand, can be done any time of the year, any season, all Fitzpatrick. It's a really great service. The attributes that one could take from this particular type of a series is minimization of fine line and wrinkle, minimization of static wrinkle, the loss of laxity correction, minimization of some pigmentations in skin, melasma-like banding, rosacea-like tendency, freckling, and on and on. You can really see some tightening, heightening, sculpting of the skin. So this is a really good one for your aging skin demographic or your non-aging skin demographic, but someone who has recently lost weight. We know that the GL1P is all the rage right now. And so people are losing weight, specifically in the face, neck, and then décolleté. And they're looking for ways to kind of tighten that skin back up and get it back to where they were accustomed to it being before losing the weight on the GL1P. So this really goes across the board for a myriad of demographics. And we're really pleased to have been the first establishment in our community to bring this in-house.
Yeah, I love it. It sounds like an amazing treatment. I need to come see you.
Yes, of course, of course.
So I know you've opened your schedule for speaking engagements and business education. So what motivated you to step into that speaker educator role beyond your treatment room?
So this really felt like such an easy step in the same direction, just a slightly different niche. For me, I really just love education. I mean, if you know me well, you know that when I'm organizing my closet, I'm listening to a podcast on skincare. When I am doing laundry in my laundry room, I'm listening to someone talk about how they've just moved their way through a JDD medical trial study, or I'm listening to somebody talk about the newest PubMed study, out of, Switzerland or Australia or Japan. So I'm really always all about the education of things. And so it was an easy transition. If I love it that much and I micro educate my patients in the treatment space so often, why not just do it on a larger platform? So I've done education by way of magazine, article, podcast, both local and nationally syndicated. I've certainly done some expert panel scenarios. I love the education of it. Keynote speaking is my favorite, especially in the aesthetics realm. If I can speak to a group of learning estheticians in an aesthetic program, I already know that I'm grabbing their attention to learn all the good things about aesthetics before they start creating some unhealthy or bad habits when they get out in the field. So I really do love a good speaking engagement, and I really try to, plug that in as many times through the year as possible. There are some that I do pro bono, and those are the ones that are the closest to my heart. But yeah, I really do love a good speaking engagement.
So how do you decide what topics you're going to speak on?
It's different really with every venue. So specifically when I do keynote speaking at aesthetic schools, it's really all about how to help them understand how they want to transition from a licensed esthetician to a booked and busy esthetician, because that's actually a pretty big hurdle. And it's one really specified for that niche of, person. And then, of course, it could be that if I'm speaking specifically for a clinical grade skincare line, well, most of my topic is going to be why that line is so significant, why it's been a positive in our practice, and how it's transformed our patients' skin for the positive. And how we continue to incorporate it in our everyday tool bag, if you will, of aesthetics. So it's different for every venue, but for me, I do have some kind of standard signature topics. But I'm always happy to kind of do a little dance around and find a new topic as long as I'm well versed on it.
Okay. What are the top 3 mistakes you see aesthetic professionals making when they go out to speak or educate, to create content that you see that holds them back?
Okay. You know, at the end of the day, I think if you can stay authentic and true to yourself, you're really not going to misstep in that way, right? It's like if you said to me, tell me why you love the color black. I hate the color black. And so I would have to like make it up the whole way along. And I'd be stumbling on my words and I'd be kind of pulling things out of thin air. And I'd probably be fibbing a little bit too, which would really break that good energy and that good vibration that I'm trying to push out to the rest of the world or my audience. And so I think just staying true to yourself and really authentic is going to get you more than any of like really any other piece of advice. Outside of that, stay away from the trends. If somebody says, let's incorporate a jelly mask in your treatment space, I mean, if you're looking for a really fluffy facial, then do that. But if your core of your business is science-based initiatives and results-driven, then the jelly mask is not your jam. You know what I mean? You want to go with more of a TSC-based component. The tetramethyl hexadecimal cystine cysteine complex is going to do a far great more checking of all the boxes than your jelly mask would, right? So just stay so authentic to yourself and what works for your field or for your niche, and you'll do well. Yeah, you'll do so good.
I love that. And you said the TSC perfectly.
Yeah, and you want to know why? Because it's so authentic to what I do. It is such a great ingredient base. And so plug to Epicurus. They are a really lovely brand, and we've been carrying them really since their infancy. I had some really good instincts on what was a good brand, a simple brand, a clean brand, and really one that stands on the merits of science. And because that's what we are at the Skin Lab. And so luckily for us, my instincts were spot on, and we've been with them really since their infancy. So yeah, so plug to Epicurus. Yeah.
Yes, love Epicurus myself too. So if someone listening wants to book you for a speaking engagement, what are the key factors they should check and prepare to make it worthwhile?
I think if you're looking for somebody to be a speaker for you, whether it was me or someone else, the first thing you want to do is really check that person's experience in the field. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to have spoken at 10,000 events or arenas. It just means that they have to at least have done it once. If you can do something once, you can take it and run with it. Outside of that, I think you really want to be choosing somebody who has a really positive reputation in their field, some legitimacy in their field. I mean, think about it. If I wanted to make a PB&J, but I wanted to make the best one in town, I'm not going to choose, the club sandwich queen. I'm going to choose the PB&J queen, and that's who's going to teach me how to make the perfect PB&J. Now, that's totally layman's terms, but I just mean to say it's really simple if you think about it, right? So for me, I can tell you this is not my first rodeo. I've been doing this for a little bit of time now, and I really enjoy doing it. And with that being said, audiences that have had the chance to listen to me speak, or readers who have had the chance to read something that I've been a part of, or people who have been a part of a panel that I was on, they typically walk away with a good deal of knowledge, a micro education, and a little bit of a new friend. And I think that is just the way to go.
If someone wants to reach out to you for a speaking engagement, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
So the Skin Lab has a wonderful website. It's actually www.lovetheskinlab.com. And within our website, we have a myriad of options to choose from. And one of them specifically says, book Niki as your speaker. And so you can click there and just get yourself started in that way. So yeah, pretty easy.
Okay, good deal. And the internship program too. I was going to ask you about that. Do they apply there as well?
Absolutely, they do. Yes. And so internship is another option in that myriad of catalog of services, if you will. And you just click right there. And there's essentially a contact us button as well. You contact us and it just sends something directly to team, and we start filtering through things in that way. Our website is really simplistic, really navigator easy. You kind of can't mess it up. So you can see what all types of services we offer, or really a deep dive on what every service entails. You can get to know a little more about our team. You can get to learn a little bit more about our community. We also have a shop option. You can purchase any of our products and aesthetic retail items. There is a number of things to do. It's a cute website. You'll like it. Yeah.
How many people do you have on your staff in your practice?
So right now we're a team of 3. I really like to keep it intimate where at all possible. I'm a big believer in don't bite off more than you can chew. And I never really want to get too big for my britches. That's kind of, I'm speaking my local talk now. I live in a really rural area outside of the greater Nashville area. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to ever become so big that it loses its initial sparkle. And I think that initial sparkle is that we treat each and every person like they're the only one in house that day, and for good reason. I'm really always loving on my people. I'm taking care of them from start to finish. I'm reaching out to them in between. I'm really always creating some sort of a connection with them because it means something to me to do that. And we're really easily able to keep that intimate vibe, but really scientific based and results driven by keeping our team a fairly intimate team. We've had a team of 5, a team of 6, but at this time we're a team of 3. And for right now, that's a perfect fit. Will come a time that we want to continue to expand that team. And if so, the first place we're going to look is going to be our graduates of interns, because it's the first, bird's eye look at how does that person play well with others, work amongst a team? How does that person interact with patient demographic? Is that person a tardy person or an on-time person? Are they eager to learn? Things like that. So that's the first opportunity we have for looking to see who could be a good team member or fit for us. And then outside of that, we take application.
Okay. That's a great tool for you to have too, to be able to pull from the experiences that you've had with other estheticians.
In life, everything is a give and a take. And so I wanted to give back to our community by way of this internship program, but I certainly understand that it is also a take. I'm able to really kind of get a good peek at that person's character and their work ethics. It's a great opportunity for me to kind of see like, yes, she's perfect. In fact, we've actually done that before. We've had graduates that we were like, we loved her. She's so great. When we have the chance to expand, we're going to reach out to her. And then sure enough, luckily for us, that they loved us as much as we loved them. And then they came on to our team. So yeah, that's totally happened before.
So how do you manage your time balancing treatments, running the business, and now you've added speaking? I don't know how long you've been doing speaking, but you've added that.
Yeah.
And life. How do you avoid burnout? We all face it.
Yes, we do. I will tell you this. I am a booked and busy lady. I am married to the love of my life, Andy. We've been married for almost 25 years. We've got 4 happy, healthy children, Jackson, Keegan, Isabella, and Kellen, and they are all just dolls. We live a very robust life and a very busy life at that. With that being said, I have to be so cliche right now. Honestly, what it comes down to is you have to love what you do. I'm always loving what I do. I am loving getting up in the morning and getting ready to come in and see patients. I am loving putting trainings in between, regular booked sessions. I am loving, booking out for my team so that we can go and be further educated. I am loving creating a curated, customized treatment plan for that patient who has had a full face of makeup for 7 years because they are not feeling confident with their skin and they're ready to take off the mask. So you have to love what you do. And if you do, it never really feels like work. So even on your busiest, if you can keep a positive attitude and you can love what you do, listen, you could get through anything. So yeah, super cliche, super Hallmark Channel, but for me, it just rings so true. I'm a real glass half full kind of girl, if you will, just in life in general. And I just see the positive or the silver lining in much of everything, even the stinky things. And so like when it's that extra long day or when you have to skip your lunch break or skip your potty break because of how busy you are, I just remind myself I prayed to be this busy and look at where I'm at. So you just find the positive in it. You just love what you do, and it's easy in that way, or at least I think it is.
Going back to that mindset that we were talking about, it sounds like you have a really great mindset. And what I've noticed about you too is that you are fully present with whatever you seem to be doing. You are all in that moment, and that makes a huge difference.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
for your business, for your clients, for everything that you do.
I think some people probably would call that an overachiever. I just love the details of things. And I love that you can just romanticize your life. You can romanticize, your work. You can romanticize your drive-in, right? I romanticize my drive-in in the morning with my custom coffee that I've made, my latte. It's just the simplest of things. But for me, it romanticizes my long, commute in. We have a farm about 30 minutes east of where I own my practice. And so it's a little bit of a jaunt in, but it's a pretty drive in and it's a quiet drive in. I take that time to kind of tell the day what kind of day it's going to be for me. And I take that time to say a little prayer on the way in and give a little bit of thanks for all that God has blessed me with. And you know what? If you can find a way to be positive, if you can give 10 out of 10 to everything you're doing, how could you not succeed in it, right? It might take a little bit of time,
Yeah.
but you're going to succeed if you put everything you've got into it. Absolutely.
Well, and you just mentioned you have a farm. Do you have animals?
We do, but not the ones that most people do. So we do have a farm, but I will tell you, we moved onto this farm because we wanted room for our kids to grow. We wanted room for them to explore, room for them to just enjoy the nature and the beauty of God's work. And so we didn't really move any further on cattle or sheep or anything like that. So we have dogs and we have chickens. And if you can even believe this, one of my sons has a squirrel. I don't even know if that's legal. He downed or he fell a tree. And when he did, there was a very unfortunate accident with the mother squirrel, and he did not want the baby squirrel to not make it. So he has nursed that squirrel from essentially birth. So not normal animals at all. But yes, a farm, no less. Yes, a farm, no less.
So talk us through how you integrate body, mind, health with aesthetics in your practice.
No, it's a great question. So I will say this comes from something from within. I kind of always just instinctively know that the mind and the body really work energetically, right? Synergetically. They're just working in tandem always. Our heartbeat is putting off an electrical beat, every couple of seconds. Our mind is putting out a frequency. And then our energetics that is happening in our body, it's pulsating to the rest of the world. And so these things are real. These are, based in science. And so there's no reason then you shouldn't take that knowledge and then incorporate it into whatever work you're doing in the world. So for me, I can just kind of innately see a person's, inner workings from far away, it feels like. Even if somebody comes to me with a mask, if they come to me and I'm like, hi, how's your day? And they're like, good. I can tell if it's not good. I can feel that from them pretty quickly. And I know that if I can put hands on them, if I can work on skin, if I can kind of just push positivity on them, between fixing skin and them leaving my treatment space, they're feeling better for it. And so that's what I mean when I say that kind of mind and body connection. I don't really put a stigma on it or a label on it. I'm not like a kooky bird. I'm just a normal gal, but I think God just blessed me with the ability to see someone's internal beauty and then help them to exude it with their external beauty. So they might not feel their most beautiful on the outside, but by the time we're through, they're likely going to feel that same inner beauty that I can see from them from a mile away externally. And so that's kind of my mindset on it.
So what role does prevention versus correction play in your approach? How early should someone start integrating that wellness skin connection?
There's no real time frame I wouldn't put on it. And there's not even really like an age that I would put on it. What I would say is it takes a bit of time to accrue unwanted pigment on the skin. It takes a bit of time to accrue age deficit or fine line wrinkle or loss of laxity to the skin. It takes a bit of time to, see anything happen in the skin, especially if it's adverse. And so it makes perfect sense that it's going to, flipping the coin there, take a bit of time to reverse or correct or revise. So I would just say it's so much easier for us to prevent than it is to correct simply because it doesn't take as much time. So you do well to start prevention early just for the natural schematics of it. But in our treatment spaces, preventing, and we are also actively correcting each and every day for patients. So we're curating the perfect treatment plan to happen or commence about once every 30 days for that patient. And what we call the marathon or the race, we're running that race or that marathon together in the treatment space. And then when that treatment space protocol is completed, I'm then passing that baton to my patient, and my team is doing the very same thing with their patient demographic. And then that patient is taking that baton in that 30-day run in between when they're not going to be seeing us. The twice daily regimen by way of progression and correction is happening so that we can really get to the end or the goal or the end of that race together. It's steady wins the race, right? We're not getting there, in 2 seconds flat. It didn't take 2 seconds flat to accrue these types of deficits in the skin. So it makes perfect sense. It might take just a bit to get there, but we do it together, and we do it with efficiency, and we do it with a kind word, and we do it, with connection and help. And we do it together, and it ends up being a really good fit for a lot of people.
I love that. With each client or consult that comes in, do you map out a 60-day, 90-day plan for them?
Yes.
Is that what you do in your
Yes,
consult?
that's exactly what we do. Yes. So at the Skin Lab, we have what I call the cheat sheet or the cue card, and my patients know this well. I made sure that when I curated this, it was the perfect size. So it's not like small, like a Post-it note, which by the way, I live and die by the Post-it note, but there's not enough room on that, right? This is literally postcard size. And it's because it can sit like in the corner of like your cosmetic counter or your vanity in your bathroom. And so for me, it's going to have chronologically in order step 1, AM and PM, step 2, PM only. Asterisk, this comes in the next 30 days, that kind of thing. And then of course, it also has my contact detail. I'm very much so hands-on with my demographic, and they know they can reach out to me day or night. Now, listen, if it's like 10:30 at night and it's not emergent, it's likely you won't hear from me until, 5:30 when I'm drinking my coffee in the morning again. But they're going to be able to be in touch with me and ask questions about skin, ask questions about changes in skin, whether it's positive or adverse. They're going to be able to ask questions about their regimen or things like, hey, Nick, I know that I'm on this accelerant, but I'm actually, my husband just surprised me with a trip to Cancun and we're going to fly out tomorrow. Can I use my retinol tonight or should I wait? So just things that are skin or aesthetics related. P.S. I love funny memes. So they always know they can send me funny memes also, especially if they're skin related. But yeah, outside of that, it's going to have all those details there and it's going to be mapped out perfectly for them. They're going to know they're going to have a 30, 60 or a 90-day run with whatever it is that we put together. And they also know we can tweak it, right? We can kind of take a bend in the road where needed. If we were on a particular treatment plan and then all of a sudden you've just conceived, you're now with child, we're likely going to make a little bit of an avenue change, and that's okay. You'll get a new one of these, and it's going to be that modified version of things. We're in 60, 90 days deep into a treatment plan, and then all of a sudden you're diagnosed with an autoimmune disease like Hashimoto's or lupus. We deal with this often in the treatment span. So we're going to come in and we're going to make modifications and we're going to change up what that plan looks like for that person. So yeah, we love a good treatment plan, and they're always customized and they're always curated for each and every person's specific skin needs, but also their healthy skin goals. And we do keep in mind their lifestyle. I'll give you a tiny, for instance, I have a patient. She knows who she is. She's a doll. Smart lady, easy to talk to, just a nice doll. And she says to me, okay, I believe you and I'm going to follow what you say to do, but I'm not doing 10 pieces in this step. So whatever pieces you give me, make sure they're 3-in-1s or more. And I'm like, I got you. So I choose very customized pieces for her that, really have a range of what they can do for skin in a progressive or a corrective way versus giving her 3 pieces that would have done 3 separate things, because she's not going to do a long lineup because that's just not what her lifestyle is going to afford for her. Right. So everybody's so different, and we really take each of those things into account.
Yeah, having that plan laid out for them, I think is so important. But, like you said, everybody's going to be different, and taking that into consideration and really tailoring it to each individual client is so important. So
yes,
that's an amazing thing to do that I don't think everybody always does.
Well, you think about it. Our patient demographic, if they are seeking out clinical recommendations from a medical esthetician in a clinical setting, it's likely they have exhausted all other OTC and generic options. They've probably gone to Walgreens. They've probably gone to CVS. They probably pulled several pieces from those counters and then seen little to no progress. They've likely gone that step up and gone to Ulta or Sephora and picked up some of those slightly more better options versus what that kind of generic option was. And they likely didn't see as much benefit from them either. They've probably gone to the dermatologist and maybe gotten on a script of spirolactone or Epiduo or clindamycin and seen some significant changes. But those are the types of things that you can't do forever, right? You have like a short span of time and then a break, short span of time and then a break. And so when they're in that break, for whatever the reason might be, then they're seeing flare-ups of things again. So it's likely when they come to see us, they really felt like they're at the end of the rope or the end of the line, and they're really seeking that clinical recommendation. So it really is our job to have our thinking cap on, right? And the way that we do this is furthered education, further certification, keeping our nose in the book, keeping our nose in, PubMed and JDD medical trial study, choosing top tier skincare options that are clinical and medical grade and very clean, friendly for people's skin. When we do those extra things, that's why people are coming to us. And then when you do those things right and with repetition, that's when they stay with you.
Yes. And so shifting gears just a little bit, what's one system or tool or process software, anything marketing that has made the biggest difference in freeing up your time? Because it sounds like you have a lot on your plate. So, do you have any recommendations or things that
Yeah.
have helped?
So one simple tool, this one's very simple, but I thought made a big difference in life. In the world of aesthetics, one must clinically chart for each patient and each situation. And they must also have our signatures on file, right? You can't, take blade to face. You can't take needle to face. You can't do these things without having a consent, right? The patient has to be fully aware of what it is they're getting into. They can't have been held under duress to make that decision. They need to be well and fully informed. And so you have to have signature for that. In years past, it was, an individual, piece of paper, somebody had to sign off. And then for every service that you offered, and likely you're doing a combination of services in the treatment space, it was a separate signature for each. So a stack of a file this deep in a file cabinet this tall, having to go to the copy house often to make copies, having to hire out a shredding company to stay compliant. I mean, it was just kind of a headache. So moving to an electronic space for those signatures and those housings, that has been a game changer for us. Also, it's like the fastest thing ever. You literally just get on there and just sign it and then you're good to go. So we really love that we moved over to electronic filings about 5-ish years ago. That for us has been easy breezy. So yeah, I do love that aspect of things.
I'm sure it makes such a difference because, I remember when we had the files and the paper charts and it was just a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, it's totally a lot.
So, and we talked about this a little bit, but marketing is always shifting.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the one marketing strategy that you're doing right now that's getting results and that you would recommend for others?
I think there are so many marketing tools out there. You've got the social media aspect. You've got the advertisement aspect. You've got the word of mouth, of course, which I think is a fantastic one. You've got the billboard scenario and the kiosk scenario. I mean, the list kind of just keeps moving. I think at the end of the day, you do have to choose what's best for your demographic and your community and your area first. But I think really when you get down to it, it's just being consistent. If you decide that, let's say, Instagram is your end all be all, it's the way that you want to do all advertisement, then you got to dive in and do it 10 out of 10. You got to post every day, if not multiple times per day. You've got to do a combination of your educational spots, then a highlighted regimen piece spot. Then you've got to do a before and after spot. You want to do a fluffy piece that's just fun and pretty and feminine because that's your demographic maybe. You want to do a myriad of everything that works in that platform. So whatever you choose, just be so consistent. That's what I would say.
Consistency is key. I truly do believe that. Do they learn your internship? Do they learn any marketing tips from you?
Essentially what they learn by way of marketing is they see what works for us. Now, that doesn't mean that what works for us works for everybody, but what they get a bird's eye view on is we found out that this works for us by way of trial and error. We found out that this works for us by way of this one was the one, and we're going to double down and we're going to do that one even better next time with the same idea. But what they really are seeing is that once we find something that works for us, then we double down and we stay consistent with it. And we constantly work towards elevating what we know works. And being even more efficient each and every time. So again, really, it does come down to you have to find what that perfect niche for you is, and then you just have to stay consistent.
Yeah, and sometimes, like you said, it's a lot of trial and error, trying things, seeing what works.
It is. I tell my team, I call them my girls. I tell my girls often, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the way that we're going to move into this particular type of a scenario is X, Y, and Z. Now, that's not because it is the absolute best option in the world. It's because I've tried a multitude of others and those did not work. Those were deadpan. Those were fails. But this scenario, this X, Y, and Z, this protocol, this has traditionally worked and with longevity. And if and when something better comes along or something more elevated happens to appear within the industry, then we will likely adopt that.
Niki, thank you so much for being on today. And I'll put all the links in the show notes so that people can connect with you easily and find you. And I appreciate you being here.